What's crack lacking? It's your boy Baroshimo, just in case you did not know so. And today we're going over the Miami Dolphins, doing a season preview. We're going to take a look at the roster, the schedule, give you my projected starters, and my projected, just my prediction on how they're going to fare this year. But go ahead, become a bro and subscribe, leave a thumbs up if you're enjoying the video. I'm doing this on Sunday, so if anything changes with the team after that, then I'm technically not liable, I suppose. So yeah, just putting that out there. A lot of stuff coming to the channel. We're going to continue with the season previews. I'm preparing a couple of other videos. I plan on eventually maybe doing some Madden rebuilds. I'm looking into getting an NCAA because that's just something I really want to do. I really want to I haven't touched that game in like 4 years, and just, man, honestly, it was the only thing that brought me back to Madden. I was firmly not a Madden player. Once I was like, NCAA is a superior game. I love this game. I love what they do, or what they've done with the, I guess, the dynasty mode. But yeah, so I really want to dive into that. I'm going to look into how to acquire, not just what it'll cost to acquire all that stuff. So that's something I'm really amped up for. I am starting to look at some of my fantasy football stuff, but keep in mind, after all these videos that after season previews, I'm going to take my records and I'm going to do a new mock draft, and then I think maybe a week or two after that, I'm going to give you my own mock draft, like what would I do if I were put in these teams' positions. So that'll be a lot of fun, because I think I got a few names that probably maybe you won't see in the first round. But needless to say, a lot of content coming to the channel. Go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up if you thoroughly enjoy the content. That's always much appreciated. Much obliged. Let's go ahead. Let's take a gander at the dang team. Yep, here it is. All right, so let's take a look at the offense. And first and foremost, let's just talk about the quarterback situation. I think it's going to be Ryan Fitzpatrick for a bulk of the season, if not the first, maybe Tua sees some time. Week 7, he becomes a starter, or maybe week 10, somewhere in between there, I think, is maybe the most logical thing. Just kind of ease them into this. Your team's not built to win this season, so no need to rush Tua in and just potentially breaking him. The running back situation, I like a lot better with Matt Breida. Jordan Howard's nice, but he's virtually zero factor in the pass game, and Breida gives you that. The receiving core, very interesting. It's a very interesting receiving core. Devontae Parker, I really hope last year just wasn't an outlier of, I just hope it wasn't just a contract year. That's all I'm saying. He was literally not going to be kept after next season. That's what was going to happen, and then he pops off. Last year saved his career with the Dolphins. So hopefully it's just it's a sign of things to come. I'm very excited for that. On top of that, I mean, Preston Williams looked pretty good. He may be no more than wide receiver 2 at best, but it's not like they've done a lot to their receiving core as is. Albert Wilson's probably going to come in there and be kind of like the vertical threat and the yards after catch guy. They kind of don't have that with Parker or Williams. Allen Hurns, if he can stay healthy, he'll probably see some time there. But Mike Gesicki, looks like he's starting to really come into his own, which that would be great. I'd love that. Because the dude, it's not like he's no threat blocking. For the most part, he is a receiving tight end. They drafted him because he was super athletic. Teams loved his athleticism, and it's nice to see that that might be a thing coming out. I was just making sure there were no new sign-ins. It like clicked on me when I was doing the intro, and I was like, oh man, Logan Ryan's still on the market, man. I think he has a fair chance of going to the Dolphins. So let me check that real quick. But obviously the Achilles heel for this team is the offensive line. And it was pretty poor last year. Their best least returning player from the offensive line is Jesse Davis, which ain't saying much because he was average, if not below average. So they addressed the offensive line quite a bit in the draft. But for me, I think they addressed it with a lot of guys that don't have a lot of polish. And I don't know if I'd let them see reps early, but just because of circumstance, they probably have to. Like, okay, Julian Davenport is entrenched at the left tackle position, but he's not good. And that's the nicest way I could put it. Austin Jackson, I mean, I don't think there's any way he can lose that job in camp. The guy's extremely athletic, but again, very raw from a technique standpoint. Eric Flowers comes in. He will be the left tackle there. They paid him. So hopefully, he looked really good last year in Washington. I was more in the impression that he might get like a 3-year, $18 million contract, so he got $30 million. Just because it was his first year converting to guard and his first year of actually playing well. So, I mean, I think I have some hesitancy when it comes to giving him that type of money, but the Dolphins did have to make some moves, so hopefully that does work for the Bears. It does improve the line regardless, so I'm all for that. Solomon Kinley's in there back there as the backup, which that'll likely be the thing. The guy's very sloppy in as far as technique, his footwork, very slow footwork, but he was a dominant run defender or a run blocker. So maybe a guy that maybe later down the line maybe sees some time, but right now just a depth guy, just a developmental guy. Ted Karras was actually one of my favorite signings. This guy popped off last year for the Patriots when asked to start after was it David Andrews? Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the Patriots actual center went down. This guy's been a long time backup there. Came in, played extremely well, so I expect very good things. I was kind of bummed he only got a 1-year deal, but I guess it's kind of a proven deal. The right guard position is very interesting at this point because it's right now they have Michael Dieter, and he played actually pretty stinking awful. And Robert Hunt is a guy I loved in the draft. I anticipated him to be a tackle guard convert, and I don't know. I just don't know if he will get reps. Like, the more I think about it, the more it just makes sense. Michael Dieter was just so bad last year. Robert Hunt should easily win that job. And then Jesse Davis, I think, will be the right tackle. You might want to make a case for Robert Hunt, but I think he's better at transitioning to guard. So, and I think I'm pretty good at calling that. It's typically tackle. For me, when it comes to looking at prospects, like the number one thing, the thing that really catches my eye is athleticism. And athleticism kind of matters less on the offensive line, but on the interior. You need athleticism if you're going to play at the tackle position. Robert Hunt, while not a bad athlete, I don't think it's good enough to be at the tackle position. I think he works better at guard. So let's go ahead. Let's take a gander at the defense. And defense, interested. Very interesting. I like what they've done. Christian Wilkins and Devon Gacho, they were okay last year. But that's about it. I expect Gacho to be better this season. Christian Wilkins, my thing when he came out was you're getting a guy that's probably already at his ceiling. That there's not much left after that. And while yes, I think he'll do better next season, I don't think he's gonna do much. That's just my take on it based on how I saw him as a prospect. And then I like the additions of Shaq Lawson, Emmanuel Agaba. I think both of them in a rotation. Wally, these are guys that thrive outside of the tackle. And while they're, I think in limited use, they're very good pass rushers. It's not like they're elite by any means, but in a rotation, I think is phenomenal. They did bring in a couple of other guys on the interior. Jason Strowbridge kind of has the versatility to play on the outside as well. Raekwon Davis is a guy that his physical tools are through the roof. It just seemed he plateaued. If anything, he's an elite run defender. I like them signing Benito Jones because this is another guy with a lot of tools, especially athletically for his size. Just never really put them all together. And then at edge, Vince Beagle, he actually played particularly very well, actually, especially in coverage. So a guy that you could have around the line and then drop back is really nice. Kyle Van Noy was good. And one of my favorite freaking picks in the draft, Curtis Stinkin' Weaver. Brilliant. This is a guy, I think he's coming to a great situation. This is a guy that put on the edge for the more times than not was in a he wasn't in a 3-point stance. He was typically stand up there at Boise State. You look at him and he's like, he's not much of an athlete, but the guy's a baller. The guy, his pass rush win rate in terms of when it comes to like guys that got a good volume of snaps was only second to Chase Young. And you'd be like, well, he was in the Mountain West. Good. He's supposed to dominate competition like that. The guy's very good. I think he was one of the steals of the draft. So I like the idea of him getting into the mix there as well. But I'm kind of intrigued at linebacker because I love Raekwon McMillan because he's actually pretty darn good. Ever since the whole rookie redshirt year after he got hurt, McMillan, excuse me. But this guy, he's played pretty well, and I definitely see him in the future. Jerome Baker, that's still up for grabs. Last year was a really down year, but if you look at him athletically, you gotta love it. You gotta love what his potential is, and I expect him to play a lot better. He actually played significantly more snaps than McMillan. Granted, I think McMillan was out for 2 games with an injury. Then they brought in Roberts, so he might play fullback. Who knows? Patriot joke. Looking at the secondary, which is I don't know. The secondary did improve a lot. Byron Jones was a steal. He's very underrated. To me, he is among the elite corners in today. That's why I say underrated. This is a guy that can do whatever. He can do man, he can do zone. But looks like the Dolphins are going to be moving to more of a man-heavy scheme. And I don't know, you can kind of just tell that with the Noah Igbinoghene pick. A guy who is phenomenally athletically. He projects well as a press man corner. Just kind of lacks ball skills and just some technique. But Xavier Howard is interesting here because this is a guy who actually his best year was when the Dolphins played a lot of zone. So where does he fit? Does he still have a future on this roster? We'll see. He will be the corner number 2, so perhaps. Outside of that, it's really just a lot of depth at corner. I mean, they got Tanker Slay, who actually played decently. Even Needham. He was pretty good, but he was really forced into action just because there was nobody. So it'll be very interesting what they do there. And then Bobby McCain, a guy that can play in the slot, but again, secondary, man, it's not exactly a well of talent. It looks like they're going to have Eric Rowe there for another year, but quite honestly, Brandon Jones could take that starting job like that. They drafted him around earlier than I would have, but when you see teams do that, typically it's because they have a plan for them. So what I expect with Brandon Jones is he's going to take the Patrick Chung role because this is a guy that is very physical, very athletic too. But last year he was pretty bad in coverage. He's not good when you put him in like a single high. Like he's better around the line of scrimmage where you can take advantage of that athleticism, especially when maybe he matches up on the slot. So I definitely think he's going to be a Patrick Chung type of player. And that's what they anticipate. And then Steven Parker and Adrian Colbert were actually pretty good when they had to come in because of injury. But Bobby McCain is probably the best guy returning. Xavier Howard, again, I got questions about him. Noah Ibignagani, I'm kind of hoping he doesn't have to start. That's why I kind of said Logan Ryan. But because he's a guy that I think needs a lot of polish. But let's go ahead. Let's take a gander at the schedule. Let's see how these Dolphins are going to do. We got week 1, New England Patriots. This, for all intents and purposes, feels like it should be a win now that Tom Brady's gone. But they do have a good defense. So it'll be very, very interesting. Like, the AFC East is very interesting right now because of the Jets. I do anticipate the Jets to be a much better team. It's just I really don't trust the coaching staff there. I don't like the coaching staff there. I mean, as a Dolphins fan, Adam Gase, I got some memories that aren't too great. So that'll be interesting. The Bills, they look like they're gonna run through this division easily. So hopefully not, but we'll see. But our games this year against the NFC West, that's tough, man, because all the teams in there are good. I mean, you can hate on the Rams and how they use their cap, but that's still a pretty good squad. Just keep in mind they're only a year removed, or 2 years at this point, removed from being a Super Bowl caliber team. And then you got a much better Arizona Cardinal team. And then the Seahawks, doesn't matter what happens during the offseason, they're always very competitive because Russell Wilson is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And you got the 49ers who almost won the Super Bowl. So kind of scary. On top of that, we do have to face the AFC West? Yes, the AFC West, which now we have to face the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, a much better looking Denver Broncos team, an Oakland Raiders team that improved a lot, a Chargers team they got great talent there starting for them, and really Tyrod Taylor, dude. I mean, Dolphins should know Tyrod ain't a bad quarterback. Tyrod is a very good bridge quarterback. He is very solid. He can lead this team. So I think this is going to be a pretty tough year for the Dolphins. Then they got the Joe Burrow versus Tua matchup there in week 13. And then we got Jacksonville, which, if you ain't new to the channel, you know I'm all about Minshew mania. I'm all about Uncle Rico, so that's not a given either. So, I mean, for the most part, I think it's a pretty tough schedule. I think we could probably, and this is why I said week 10, just because of the bye, that we might see Tua. And I mean, if you want to say we can win New England, we can win Jacksonville. I know we were hot down the stretch, but it's still a tough sled in. You could say maybe Denver, the Chargers. You could say, I think at best we go into this bye 5-5 at best. I think that's a best case scenario. So let's just go ahead. Let's take a look at the starters. Being on offense, like I said, I'll get to one offensive line, but we're gonna have Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think, for a bulk of the year, which I think is the right call. Matt Breida, he opens stuff in the passing game that Jordan Howard can't. Howard will see some time, but I like Breida. Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, and then I got Albert Wilson. I got them all labeled as receivers because maybe Wilson might get a bulk of the slot work, but I do think Preston Williams might get a little time there too. And then Gesicki. And then on the line, and I got Austin Jackson starting. I got Eric Flowers, Ted Karras, Jesse Davis, and let me tell you, at right guard, I'm so tempted to put, like, as I was talking, I was like, man, I should just put Robert Hunt. It's probably going to be Robert Hunt, but I'm going to leave it a Dieter for now. And then looking at the defensive stars, and keep in mind when I do this, I typically do it on, I do the starting lineup based on which guys are going to see the most snaps, which positions will see the most snaps. So let's go ahead and take a gander. And Shaq Lawson there, he'll probably see more snaps than Ogba, so I got him penciled in there. Gacho and Wilkins, and then Kyle Van Noy. They paying him, so he playing. And then I imagine Jerome Parker is going to get a lot of work here. McMillan, I think, deserves it. And then in the secondary, until they sign another slot, I mean, realistically, they could move on sub packages. They could move Bobby McCain to the slot and then bring in like Steven Parker or Albert Colbert, but rather just keep him back there and just, you know, throw this rookie to the Lions, just because that's the thing to do, right? But Byron Jones, you got Xavier Howard, Noah Nagani, you got Eric Rowe and Bobby McCain. And as for a prediction, I guess I should have pulled this up, but I have these guys going 6-10. Yes, 6-10, just because it's a tough schedule. I think I'm fairly confident that that's a safe spot, if not maybe even lowballing it at this point. But it's a very tough division. The Jets, I think, are not as bad as people are making them out to be. I just think they're a very poorly ran team. The Patriots, what to expect from the Patriots? They're kind of the enigma in all this. Will they really be regressing that much, or is Stidham really, really good? That's the scary thing, you know? So, I mean, because it wouldn't surprise me if the Patriots went 9-7. But I got the Dolphins at 6-10. I think that's safe. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. And go ahead, do the whole YouTube thing. That's always much appreciated. Much obliged. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.